Have you ever felt like your emotions were running the show? One minute you're calm and the next, you're overwhelmed with anger, anxiety, or sadness. You say things you don't mean. You make decisions you later regret. And then you wonder, why can't I control how I feel? You're not alone. In fact, the battle between emotion and reason is as old as humanity itself. But what if I told you that a Roman emperor who ruled nearly 2,000 years ago had already figured out the answer? His name was Marcus Aurelius, philosopher, warrior, and ruler of one of the most powerful empires in history. Despite facing war, betrayal, loss, and enormous responsibility, he remained calm, rational, and unshaken. How? Because he mastered the one thing most of us never learn to: his feelings. Through his private writings, now known as meditations, Marcus Aurelius left behind a powerful blueprint for emotional mastery. And in today's video, we'll uncover 5 timeless lessons from his Stoic philosophy that can help you stay calm under pressure, control impulsive reactions, and live with inner peace, no matter what life throws at you. So if you've ever felt trapped inside your own emotions, stick around. This might just change the way you see yourself. Lesson 1. Embrace the virtues. Let's start with the first and perhaps most foundational lesson from Marcus Aurelius. Embrace the virtues. In Meditations, Marcus wrote, "Dig within. Within is the wellspring of good, and it is always ready to bubble up if you just dig." Now, what does that actually mean? At the core of Stoic philosophy are 4 cardinal virtues: wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. These aren't just old-school concepts. They're powerful tools that can help you stay grounded, calm, and resilient, even when life gets chaotic. Let's break each one down and see how they apply to your emotional life. 1. Wisdom. Wisdom isn't about how many books you've read or how clever your arguments sound. It's about learning to see things clearly, to understand what really matters and what doesn't. Let's say someone cuts you off in traffic. You're late for work, your blood pressure spikes, and you're seconds away from honking, yelling, and starting your day in a storm of anger. Wisdom asks, is this really worth your peace? It gives you the ability to pause, take a breath, and say, maybe they're in a hurry, maybe they made a mistake. Either way, I don't need to let this ruin my morning. Wisdom helps you zoom out. It reminds you that most emotional outbursts come from misjudging the importance of what's happening. And that simple shift, it changes everything. Number 2, justice. Justice is more than just don't break the law. To the Stoics, justice meant doing what is right, for yourself, for others, and for society as a whole. So how does justice help you master your feelings? Imagine you're in a meeting. Someone takes credit for your work. You feel a surge of resentment, maybe even rage. You want to call them out publicly, maybe embarrass them like they embarrassed you. But justice reminds you, it's not about how you feel in the moment, it's about what's right. Maybe the right thing is to speak up privately. Maybe it's to clarify your role without starting a conflict. Maybe it's to let it go for now and focus on the bigger picture. Whatever the case, when you act with justice, you let principle lead, not impulse. 3. Courage. Now let's talk about courage. Not the Hollywood kind with swords and speeches. I'm talking about everyday courage, the kind that shows up when you feel afraid but choose to act anyway. Let's say you need to have a hard conversation with someone you love. You've been avoiding it for weeks. Your stomach knots up just thinking about it. You're scared it might hurt the relationship. Scared you'll say the wrong thing. So, you push it down, but the feeling doesn't go away. It festers and it starts turning into resentment or anxiety. Courage means choosing to face discomfort on purpose, not because you're fearless, but because you know that some discomfort is necessary for growth, for healing, for truth. Marcus Aurelius faced war, betrayal, and death, but he didn't run. He acted, guided by courage, not by comfort, and so can you. 4. Temperance. Finally, we have temperance. This one gets overlooked a lot, but it might be the most powerful when it comes to mastering your emotions. Temperance is about self-control. It's the voice in your head that says, yes, I could lash out right now, but should I? Yes, I could binge this entire bag of chips, but will I feel better or worse afterwards? Let me give you a simple example. You've had a long day. You're tired. You feel underappreciated. You sit down with your phone, and next thing you know, you've scrolled through 300 TikToks, eaten 2 donuts, and ignored 3 people who texted to check in on you. You think you're comforting yourself, but actually you're escaping your feelings, and the irony, you usually end up feeling worse. Temperance helps you pause. It teaches you to replace short-term comfort with long-term care. To say, I'm feeling low right now, so instead of numbing out, I'll journal, or take a walk, or call someone, or simply sit with the feeling without feeding it sugar and dopamine. Virtue as an emotional compass. Here's the beautiful thing. You don't need to be perfect. Marcus certainly wasn't. He struggled with frustration, self-doubt, fatigue, just like we do. But he used the virtues like a compass. When he felt lost or overwhelmed, he asked, what does wisdom say? What would be just in the situation? Can I find the courage to act, even if it's hard? Where do I need restraint right now? Virtue doesn't erase emotions, it guides them. It gives your feelings form, direction, and purpose. It transforms emotional chaos into clarity. Your turn. So here's a question for you. Which virtue do you need most in your life right now? Wisdom, justice, courage, temperance? Pick one. Practice it this week. Write it on a sticky note. Make it your phone background. Every time you feel overwhelmed, ask, what would this virtue do? You'll be amazed how quickly your emotions begin to work with you instead of against you. Lesson 2. Zoom out. Shift your perspective. Let's move on to lesson 2, and this one can be life-changing if you really get it. Zoom out. Shift your perspective. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, when you want to talk about people, it's best to take a bird's eye view and see it all at once. Now think about that for a moment. Most of us live emotionally zoomed in. We're hyper-focused on our problems, our stress, our interactions, our mistakes. And when we do that, every little thing feels massive. One bad text, one awkward moment, one bad day at work, and suddenly we feel like our entire life is falling apart. But what if I told you, the problem isn't the problem? The problem is your perspective, the power of zooming out. Let's say you're in a crowded elevator and someone bumps into you without saying sorry. In that moment, zoomed in, it feels personal, disrespectful. You're ready to get annoyed or even say something sharp. But now, imagine you zoom out. You realize the elevator's cramped. They didn't even notice. They're probably just tired, distracted, or anxious like you. Suddenly, your emotional reaction softens. Why? Because the wider your view, the more room you create for understanding, calm, and peace. Marcus practiced this constantly. He would remind himself that he was just one small part of a vast universe, that the people around him had their own struggles, that his problems, while real, were not the center of everything. A shift in scale changes everything. Here's a practical way to think about it. Imagine you're staring at a painting from 2 inches away. All you see are messy brush strokes, maybe some weird colors, nothing makes sense. But when you step back, the chaos turns into a masterpiece. Same thing with emotions. When you're emotionally zoomed in, you only see your version of the moment. But when you step back, you see context, and context creates clarity. Let me give you a real-life example. You just got passed over for a promotion. You're angry, disappointed. Your mind goes into overdrive. I'm not good enough. They don't appreciate me. What's the point of even trying? Now stop, zoom out, ask yourself, where was I a year ago? Am I growing overall? What can I learn from this? Is this the only opportunity that will ever come my way? 9 times out of 10, zooming out doesn't remove the emotion, but it reshapes it. You don't feel like a victim anymore. You feel like a student of life. Ask the right questions. One of the best ways to shift your perspective is to ask different questions. Instead of, why is this happening to me? Ask, what am I not seeing here? Is there another way to interpret this situation? What would this look like from the outside? Let's say you got ghosted after a date. You feel rejected, embarrassed, maybe even angry. Zoomed in, it feels like a blow to your self-worth. But zoomed out, maybe that person wasn't emotionally available. Maybe they weren't ready. Maybe they actually did you a favor by stepping away instead of wasting more of your time. Perspective can transform rejection into redirection. Perspective equals emotional freedom. Marcus believed that most of our emotional suffering comes from misjudgment, from treating small things like they're big or temporary things like they're permanent. So how do you fix that? Practice zooming out every single day. Here are a few ways you can do that. Take a walk outside. Nature helps you remember you're part of something much bigger. Journal your thoughts, but then rewrite the same situation from the point of view of a neutral observer. Talk to someone you trust. Sometimes an outside perspective is the exact reset you need. Visualize space. Seriously. Imagine yourself floating above your neighborhood, your city, your planet. Suddenly your problem feels less like a mountain, more like a pebble. Example. You can try today. Let's make this practical. Think of something bothering you right now. A conflict, a failure, a fear. Now pause, ask yourself, what will this mean to me in 5 years? Is there a lesson in this? Is my current reaction helping me or just feeding the drama? You don't need to deny your feelings, you just need to see them in scale. Perspective doesn't remove emotion, but it grounds it. Final thought. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire. He faced wars, plagues, betrayal, and loss, and yet he stayed emotionally stable, not because he was numb, but because he practiced this. Zooming out, seeing things as they are, not worse than they are. The next time you feel overwhelmed, don't ask yourself what's wrong. Ask yourself, how close am I standing to this? Take a few steps back, breathe, and watch your feelings transform. Lesson 3. Master what you can control, the dichotomy of control. Alright, let's move on to lesson 3, and this one is a total game changer. It's called the dichotomy of control. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Sounds simple, right? But here's the truth. Most of us spend our entire lives trying to control things we can't and completely ignoring the things we actually can. What is the dichotomy of control? The Stoics broke life into 2 categories. 1, the things you can control. 2, the things you can't. Your thoughts, your attitude, your choices, that's your domain. Traffic, weather, the economy, what other people think, not your domain. And here's the catch. Most of our emotional pain comes from mixing these 2 up. Why this matters for your emotions. Let's say you had a job interview. You gave it your all. You showed up on time, dressed sharp, answered confidently. But you didn't get the job. Immediately emotions flood in. Disappointment, anger, self-doubt. Now stop. Ask yourself, what part of this could I actually control? You could control your preparation, your effort, your attitude during the interview. But you couldn't control the hiring manager's mood, the number of applicants, or company politics. So why are you beating yourself up? Stoicism teaches us this. If it's within your control, take responsibility. If it's not, let it go. Amor fati, loving what happens. There's a beautiful idea in Stoicism called amor fati. It means love your fate. It doesn't mean you have to enjoy everything that happens. It means accept it, even embrace it as part of your path. Let's say you get stuck in traffic on the way to an important event. You're stressed, you're fuming, you keep checking the clock. But traffic, not in your control. So what is in your control? Your breathing, your thoughts, the music you choose. Whether you let this ruin your whole day or just delay it by 15 minutes. Marcus would remind himself, the obstacle is not the enemy. The obstacle is the path. If you can learn to accept the delays, the detours, the things you didn't ask for, and still move forward with purpose, that's real strength. Example, rejection and resilience. Let's bring it closer to real life. Say you've been dating someone you really liked. You thought it was going somewhere. Then, out of nowhere, they pull away. No explanation, no closure. Now you're left with a swirl of emotions: sadness, confusion, anger, even shame. Your mind spirals. Was it something I said? Should I have texted more? Less? Was I too much? Not enough? Here's where the dichotomy of control comes in. You cannot control how they feel, what they decide, what they don't tell you. You can control how you respond, what meaning you assign to the experience, how you care for yourself moving forward. So instead of drowning in what ifs, you refocus on what now. That's Stoic. That's powerful. A mental practice, the control filter. Here's a simple exercise you can do anytime you feel emotionally overwhelmed. Step 1, write down what's bothering you. Step 2, draw a line down the middle of a piece of paper. Step 3, on the left, list what you can control. On the right, what you can't. Step 4, cross out everything on the right. Now focus only on what's left. You'll be surprised how much lighter you feel just from seeing it clearly. Replace resistance with response. Stoicism isn't about being passive. It's about being selectively active, choosing where to put your energy. Instead of resisting reality, you respond to it. Instead of trying to bend life to your will, you bend your will to life and act wisely within your sphere of influence. That shift alone can melt so much emotional chaos. A modern reminder: social media, comparison, gossip, all distractions based on things you can't control. You can't control how many likes you get, but you can control what you post and why you post it. You can't control what someone says about you, but you can control how much space you give it in your mind. Imagine if you stopped fighting reality and started flowing with it. How much emotional energy would you save? Final reflection. Marcus Aurelius didn't have an easy life. He lost children. He fought wars. He ruled during plagues. But he found peace, not by escaping chaos, but by focusing on what he could control. His thoughts, his choices, his character. So next time life throws you something heavy, remember this: you don't have to control the storm, you just have to steer your ship. Focus on your response, let the rest go. That's how you master your feelings, one choice at a time. Lesson 4. Train your perception. Here's a truth most people never fully realize. It's not what happens to you that hurts. It's how you perceive what happens to you. And that brings us to lesson 4 from Marcus Aurelius: train your perception. He wrote, "If you are pained by any external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your judgment about it. And it is in your power to wipe out that judgment now." That's a bold claim. But let's be honest, how many times have you let a situation ruin your day? Not because it was truly devastating, but because of the story you told yourself about it. Let's unpack that. Perception is everything. Imagine this: you text a friend, they don't reply. A few hours go by, still nothing. Immediately your brain starts filling in the blanks. Did I say something wrong? Are they mad at me? Do they not care anymore? And just like that, your mood crashes. You're anxious, annoyed, maybe even angry. But guess what? They were just at the gym, or driving, or having a rough day of their own. The event didn't hurt you. Your interpretation of it did. Judgment creates emotion. Marcus Aurelius believed that external events are neutral. It's our judgments that make them good, bad, stressful, or painful. Let's say your boss gives you some negative feedback. Zoomed in, it stings. You might think, I'm not good enough. They don't appreciate me. This ruins everything. But with a trained perception, you pause and ask, what if this is actually valuable? What if they're trying to help me grow? What if this feedback is a gift, not an insult? You see, it's not about denying emotion. It's about shifting your lens from reactive to reflective. The power of reframing. This is where the Stoic mindset really shines. Something bad happens. Okay, maybe it feels bad, but ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Can I grow from this? Is there another way to see this that empowers me instead of draining me? That shift is called reframing. and it's a skill you can practice. Real-life example, the boring party. Let's say you go to a party, but it's not what you expected. You feel awkward, the music sucks, and you don't really know anyone. Your first reaction, this is a waste of time. Why did I even come? I'm just gonna go home. But what if you took a breath and reframed? You say, maybe this is a chance to meet someone totally new. Maybe I can observe how people connect. Maybe the universe put me here for a reason I don't understand yet. You see, same event, different mindset, completely different experience. The obstacle is the way. Marcus famously wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way." It's one of the most quoted Stoic ideas, and for good reason. A delay, it teaches patience. A betrayal, it sharpens your boundaries. A failure, it clarifies your purpose. When you train your perception, even the worst moments can become tools for transformation. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, how is this happening for me? That small tweak makes a massive difference in your emotional health. Detachment from first impressions. One of the biggest causes of emotional turmoil is taking your first thought too seriously. You assume something, you feel something, and you treat it as truth. But Marcus would challenge that. He would say, pause, observe the thought, don't merge with it right away. So next time you think that person is rude, ask, or maybe they're just having a rough day. Instead of, I failed, I'm a failure, say, I failed this time. That's part of learning. This practice builds emotional flexibility, and that flexibility is freedom. Try this today. Thought audit. Here's a tool you can try. Step 1, catch a negative thought, e.g., I'm not good enough. Step 2, ask, is this fact or just feeling? Step 3, reframe. Maybe I'm just learning, maybe this is growth. Step 4, breathe and respond with clarity, not chaos. It takes practice. But over time, you'll start spotting the false stories you've been telling yourself for years, and replacing them with truth. Final reflection. The world doesn't need to change for you to find peace. Your perception does. Marcus Aurelius lived through war, disease, loss, and betrayal, yet he found strength, clarity, and even joy. Not because his life was easy, but because his perception was trained. So remember, events are neutral. Emotion follows interpretation, and perception is a skill, not a fixed trait. The more you train it, the less life can throw you off balance. Lesson 5. Master your emotions without suppressing them. We've come a long way. We've talked about virtue, perspective, control, and perception. Now we arrive at the final and perhaps the most difficult lesson from Marcus Aurelius. Master your emotions without suppressing them. Sounds contradictory, right? How can you master something without pushing it down or pretending it doesn't exist? Here's the key idea. Mastering your emotions doesn't mean feeling less. It means feeling more wisely, emotion versus reaction. Let's start by making something clear. Feeling emotions is human. Reacting blindly is optional. Marcus Aurelius wasn't a robot. He felt anger, grief, stress, just like any of us. But he trained himself to respond with reason, not just react out of habit. He wrote, "You don't have to turn this into something. It doesn't have to upset you." Think about that. Just because you feel something doesn't mean you have to act on it. The danger of uncontrolled emotion. Let's say someone insults you publicly. You feel a rush of anger. Your body tightens. Your mind wants revenge. You have a choice. 1, lash out and make things worse. 2, bottle it up and stew in silence. 3, pause, breathe, process, respond with clarity. That third option, that's emotional mastery. It's not cold, it's not weak, it's discipline, guided by self-respect. Marcus knew that letting anger take control was like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. Letting emotions move through you. Here's the thing. You can't logic your way out of every feeling. You can't just tell your sadness to leave. You can't just delete anxiety with a quote. But you can sit with those emotions, let them speak, let them breathe, let them move through you. without letting them drive your decisions. Emotional mastery is about creating space between stimulus and response. So when you're triggered, pause, ask, is this feeling true? Is it helpful? What's the wisest way to respond? That pause is power. Real life example, betrayal. Let's take a hard one, betrayal. You trusted someone, you opened up, you gave them your time, energy, maybe even your love, and they broke that trust. You feel hurt, furious, maybe even ashamed. The Stoic thing to do isn't to pretend it doesn't hurt. Instead, you acknowledge it. You name the emotion, I feel betrayed. You let yourself sit with that pain, but you don't let it define who you are. Marcus would say, don't let someone else's actions corrupt your character. So yes, feel the emotion, but let your virtue, not your pain, lead the response. Transforming emotion into action. Emotions are energy. You can waste that energy through blame, drama, or distraction, or you can channel it into clarity, creativity, or healing. Let's say you're anxious about a big presentation. Instead of fighting the anxiety, use it. Let it sharpen your focus. Let it drive you to prepare more carefully. Let it remind you that you care, and that's not a weakness. That's a strength. Marcus Aurelius dealt with the pressure of leading an empire. He didn't suppress fear, he trained it. He transformed it into action, into calm leadership, into wise decisions, and so can you. A practice for today, the emotional check-in with the San. Here's something you can try right now or anytime you feel overwhelmed. 1. Pause. Step away from the chaos. 2. Name the feeling. Not just bad, is it anger, shame, fear? 3. Accept it. Say, this is what I feel right now and that's okay. 4. Breathe. Even 10 slow breaths can interrupt the emotional loop. 5. Ask, what's the most honorable, helpful thing I can do next? This doesn't take hours, it can take 30 seconds, but it gives you your power back. Final thought. Marcus Aurelius wasn't trying to escape emotions. He was trying to master the mind that interprets them. He understood that emotions aren't enemies, but they aren't leaders either. Mastery doesn't mean control in the strictest sense. It means clarity. True strength is staying kind in the face of rage, staying honest in the face of fear, and staying centered when everything pulls you off course. So when the storm comes, and it will, don't try to outrun it. Stand still, face it, let it pass, and when it does, you'll still be you. Clear, calm, and unshaken. So we've come full circle. From embracing the timeless virtues of wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance, to zooming out and seeing life from a broader perspective, to focusing only on what you can control, to challenging your perceptions, and finally, learning to master your emotions, not by suppressing them, but by understanding them. These aren't just ancient ideas locked away in dusty books. They're real, they're relevant, they're tools, and you can start using them today. Marcus Aurelius didn't live a perfect life. He wasn't immune to pain, loss, or pressure, but he chose, every single day, to respond to life with clarity, character, and calm. And now, so can you. You don't need to change the entire world. You don't need to control everyone's opinion of you. You just need to take one step. Pause, reflect, respond with intention. That's Stoicism, and that's how you master your feelings, one moment at a time. If this video gave you something to think about, or maybe even some peace in a moment when you needed it, I'm really glad you found your way here. And hey, if you'd like more content like this, feel free to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. Let me know which lesson resonated with you the most, or how have you been applying Stoic ideas in your daily life? I read every comment and I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay steady, stay grounded, stay stoic.